Hey Book Besties, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I am Jordan, and welcome to yet another blind TBR video, where by now, unless you're new, you know the routine. We're gonna unwrap 5 of these books that I will put on my March TBR. Before I get into these, there are a few books that are automatically on my TBR that I will share first. There are quite a few new releases coming out in March that I'm excited about, but there's only 2 that I know for sure I will be reading like as soon as it comes out. So I'm not gonna put every new release on my TBR as I tend to do because I don't ever get to all of them. But the 2 that I am most excited about and I am 100% going to read in March, probably each of these the day it comes out. One of those is Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This will be the 3rd book in the Rose Hill series. I personally prefer this series over the Chestnut Springs. I know that's crazy, to each his own, that's just my personal preference. And so I'm very excited about this book because the couple that this book is based on has been so mysterious. I am just not certain how they're possibly going to come together, and that makes me really excited to see what is happening with them and like where things are gonna unfold with them. And then of course I'm so ready. 17-year-old Jordan never even imagined that this day would come, but I'm so excited for Haymitch's story, Sunrise on the Reaping, that we'll be getting in March. This brand new installment to the Hunger Games series. This is obviously going to be a prequel to everything that happened in the Hunger Games. It is a book I never saw coming. I never would have anticipated we would get, but I'm here for it and I'm so excited about it, and I will definitely be reading that in March. Now, just a few others that I have to have on my TBR for book clubs, etc. Obviously, I have my Patreon book club, and we'll be reading First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. It was very difficult for me to hold back from reading this when it was released in February, but I knew it was in the running as a nomination for our March pick, so I resisted the urge to start it immediately, but I'm so excited to read this with everyone in March. Really, I don't even know that much about this story other than the fact that it's Sleepless in Seattle vibes. It says that a hopeless romantic meets a demoralized radio host in this cozy Sleepless in Seattle inspired love story. I really only needed to see Sleepless in Seattle and I was pretty sold on this, so I'm excited to go into it a little bit blind and see how it goes. And then also within my Patreon, I always ask somebody to pick a book off of my TBR shelf because I have this huge goal of narrowing down my overload and embarrassing amount of TBR books that I own. So I just have someone pick a couple that they would like me to read, and I throw that onto my TBR each month so that helps me read a book that, even though it's on my physical TBR, it might not be one that I would have grabbed. And this month, my friend Tammy, who's so stinking sweet, I just adore her, she picked Expiration Dates for me, and this is a great choice because I've had this one on my TBR since the day it was released, so it's been there for a little bit too long. I just did a romance recommendations video. I took recommendations from other friends and booktubers, and one of my friends said this was her favorite romance ever, and the way she talked about it made it bump up on my own TBR. So when Tammy picked this book, I was like, perfect. The synopsis on this one really does sound super interesting. Every time that Daphne meets a new man, she receives a slip of paper with his name and a number on it, which is the exact amount of time that they will be together. But then finally, the night of a blind date at her favorite Los Angeles restaurant, there's only a name, Jake. So there is no amount of time. That is so intriguing. I'm really excited to read this one. And then I am handpicking this book to put on my TBR because I really, really want to read this. And that is Don't Be in Love by Liana Cincotti. Definitely saying that name wrong. I read Picking Daisies on Sundays by her last year and I absolutely loved it. I don't see enough people talking about that book, so when I saw she came out with another book and my friend got this for me for Christmas, I knew I really don't want to just stick this on the TBR, put it to chance on my blind TBRs. I just want to read another book from this author and see if it hits just as much as the other one did. I'm just totally in the mood for it. Basically, this 21-year-old decides to transfer to London Townsend University for her senior year. Moving to London is obviously like this big dream, and then she meets Dorian Blackwood, who is the youngest of this prominent British family known for their impression in the entertainment industry. He's plastered everywhere, like he's kind of like famous and royalty over there, and her roommate adores him. And somehow her and Dorian end up having a bit of a secret, but just because Dorian agrees to keep their secret doesn't mean that he'll make life easy for her. She's now attending galas, being photographed in the city, wearing expensive gowns, which should be easy for someone who doesn't date, let alone believe in love, right? In full honesty, like the synopsis doesn't sound like something that I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like my kind of book, I'm gonna love it. But again, because I adored the author's other book, I am just like, I have to read this and try it. Okay, on to the blind books. I am gonna revert back to the cup with numbers in it again for this video. And as always, I'm gonna allow myself one swap out if I happen to open a book that I am just not as excited as I thought I would be, or want to try for one that I know is wrapped that I'm super, super excited for. So I can do one swap at the end if I want to switch something out, but then I have to keep that book on the TBR. All right, here's to hoping for a really great TBR for March. And of course, I have to be using my Biscayeth War College mug because mentally I'm still there. Number 7. And look, I went with like a bow wrapping paper. I love it. The Wolf King. This is a book I have seen literally no one talking about, which is either going to be fantastic or that means it's going to be absolutely awful. It was a Kindle Unlimited book rec. It sounded so good to me that I wanted the physical copy to just put on my TBR shelf so I wouldn't forget about it, because when I put books on Kindle, I kind of forget they're there. When a princess is kidnapped by an alpha werewolf, war rages between the humans and the wolves, but soon forbidden attraction starts to grow. So she's actually a princess and she longs to escape the castle and this arranged marriage. So on the night before her wedding, at a dog fight where captured werewolves are made to fight for sport, she spares the life of a young wolf. It puts her on the radar of the powerful alpha who was going to kill him, and it changes everything. That night, when the alpha escapes, he kidnaps her and takes her to the rugged lands north of the border. He thinks that she is the key to winning the war against the humans. Only as they spend time around one another, forbidden attraction starts to grow, and as Aurora learns that not all wolves are bad, the alpha discovers that she's in danger from both his enemies and those he once considered friends. As a Twilight girly for life, you say werewolves, I say yes please. Next. Number 2. Apparently it's gonna be a fantasy month for me, which your girl's here for it. Lightlark. Am I nervous about this one? Absolutely, yes I am, because I hear some people love it so much and then people absolutely hate it. I have literally been told like avoid it, do not give in to the hype, but being me and someone who loves romantasy and fantasy and all of those things, I really want to try it for myself because there's just that possibility that I'll be one of those who absolutely loves this series, and so I'm going to take that chance and see what I think of it. Based on the synopsis, it does give me some Hunger Games vibes, so this is like really cool because I've got my Twilight vibes book and my Hunger Games vibes book. This could be a phenomenal reading month, or they're both gonna completely and utterly let me down. This island appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game every 100 years. The rulers of the 6 realms have to fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide, and each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. So basically, in order to survive, your crown must lie, cheat, and betray. Sounds pretty darn high stakes. I'm just really hoping that I love this one because the special edition on this book is absolutely one of the most stunning books I've ever seen, but I refused to buy it until I knew if I loved the book, but I hope I love it literally because I want that special edition. Let's see if I just open a bunch more romantasy. Number 20. Nora Goes Off Script. This is the only Annabelle Monaghan book I have not read yet. Ironically, I've really enjoyed every Annabelle Monaghan that I've read, and I've heard nothing but great things about this one. It's something about a screenwriter. She goes through a divorce, she has 2 kids, and she takes that and writes the best script of her life, and it's picked up for the big screen, set to film at her home, with the former sexiest man alive, Leo, cast as her ex-husband. After they finish, he pays her $1,000 a day to stay for a week. And I'm sure I can guess where that is gonna go. Number 14. Fear the Flames. It is definitely the month of romantasy, and I am here for it. This book has been on my TBR again since it came out. It's also actually on my 25 of 2025 books that I am most excited to read. I was probably a little bit more excited before I talked about it, I think in a haul video, and quite a few people messaged and were just like, I didn't like that book as much as I'd hoped to, and that kind of squashed my expectations a little bit. I'm just gonna embrace that excitement and jump into it. It's a book about dragons. It's absolutely stunning. It's a romantasy, so like, how could we go wrong? The blurb says that it's an exiled princess that teams up with the last man she thought she could trust in the start of a dazzling and unforgettable epic fantasy romance series. Okay, that really doesn't tell me a whole lot at all. Elwyn is a woman determined to free her dragons. She's established a secret kingdom of her own, even if that means that she has to align herself with the commander of Veraveth, Caden Velez, the most feared and dangerous man in all the kingdoms. Elwyn can't ignore their undeniable attraction as they combine their efforts to plot and infiltrate the impenetrable castle of Imarath to steal back her dragons and seek revenge on their common enemy. It's an immersive fantasy filled with a sizzling, reluctant allies to lovers romance. It's a world to get lost in, perilous quests, dragon bonds, and an entertaining band of characters to root for. I mean, come on. This book better not let me down. Alright, last number. Number 18. Addicted to You. Funny story, my friend Tammy, who picked expiration dates for me, also gave me the option to pick Addicted to You. So she gave me a couple choices and then I picked off of her choices. But Addicted to You was her other option. So now it's almost like, am I meant to read this book? This is a book that I've honestly had a lot of desire but then hesitation to read because the synopsis sounds very intimidating to me. It sounds like a book that I would be like, there's no way I'm gonna like that. But I also am one of the biggest fans of Magnolia Parks, and this has been compared to that so much, and people have told me like, because I love Magnolia Parks, I have to try this series. So that's why I've committed to like eventually trying it. Am I scared? Yes. But now I need to figure out if I'm going to keep all of these books on my TBR or swap one of them out. So hold please while I figure this out.
One eternity later.
Okay, this is not easy at all. I'm really feeling like this TBR is either going to be full of really great books or it's going to utterly nip me in the butt. And I'm not gonna like a lot of the books on this TBR because I'm definitely taking some chances, but I'm not gonna swap any out. So here we have my final TBR for the month, obviously not including the 2 new releases that will be added to this. So as usual, I ended up with 10 books on my TBR. I will probably not read all of them. We'll see how the month goes. It does give me the opportunity to mood read just a little bit. I really hope that with all the risk I'm taking, I mean, there's quite a few on here that I really do not know if I'm gonna love them or hate them. And that makes me nervous about my month, but also could be quite entertaining. And that is a wrap. Thank you so much for watching. Really quick before I run though, if you are like me and a huge fan of Boys of Tommen, Binding 13, Keeping 13, all of those books, then I made this sweater for my Patreon, but I'm also gonna open it up to the public. I made it in honor of Valentine's Day with a deep love of Boys of Tommen. You can get t-shirts, you can get sweaters, there's different colors. It just has the basic like balloon art with their sport numbers on the front, and then the back has this adorable teddy bear holding the balloons, and that does include their name plus their number. I designed this with Tommen love Valentine's and just girly vibes in mind, and I absolutely love it. If you do get a sweater, it does come very oversized and it's super soft inside. I will link below Bonfire where you can get it from if you are a fellow Boys of Tommen fan like me. Well, thank you so much again for watching. If you liked this video and you have not hit subscribe yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and sticking around. I hope that your books are amazing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Go read a book.